Hi everyone, this is Arif and I'm here with the new series of video lectures for CIA Part 2 exam. All the key concepts, I'm trying to explain all the key concepts pertaining to the CIA Part 2 exam, and also these concepts are important to know if you are an auditor and you want to apply those concepts in your day-to-day internal audit activities. So there are two benefits. One, it will help you in the exam. Secondly, it will after going through the lectures, you will be able to apply those concepts to your practical work. This is more important for me. I'm coming from a vast experience of more than 15 years in the field of internal audit. I had it in the internal audit department, so anything I try to explain, it will be backed by practical application. So here is a brief bio of my profile, my experience, my qualifications. So I started my career with Ernst & Young, then moved to a telco as an internal audit executive, then moved abroad to UAE as a group internal audit manager. And finally, in my last role, I was a head of internal audit at a private joint stock company. I have more than 10 professional qualifications and a bachelor's and a master's in accounting. So this is a brief snapshots of my profile, and it also gives you an idea that whatever I'm trying to explain in this all video series about CIA Part 2 and all the key concepts, it will be backed by my practical experience and my knowledge. So I hope it will benefit you. So in the introduction video, and there is a slide as well, I just want to give you a brief, though if you have completed your part 2, then part 1, then you might be pretty much familiar with the Institute of Internal Auditor, but just to give if someone is just have pop up with this video. So Institute of Internal Auditor is the biggest internal auditor organization which establish and oversee the role of internal audit. And they have their own standards which we abide by as an auditor. They help us in defining and shaping the internal audit profession. Globally, they have more than 170 members. The Institute of Internal Auditor also have multiple certification, but the CIA one is the most prominent one. The other certification they provide is CCSA, CRMA, QIL, and I think there are some more certification as well. So in terms of CIA Part 1, we have in terms of CIA qualification, we have 3 parts: Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. Each part comprises of a different syllabus and different topics. The Part 1 is talks more about the basic concept, the key terminologies, the standards. So all the key fundamental or foundation about internal audit is being discussed in the Part 1, which comparatively is more tough because obviously the foundation needs to be very strong. The exam is 125 MCQs for Part 1, and it is of 2.5 hours. Whereas when you transition after Part 1 to Part 2, the number of MCQs reduced to 100. The passing percentage is higher. It's relatively easier because it's more practical base. It's more practically that things, the concept you can apply. However, in Part 1, you have to conceptually understand. You need to understand the concepts. Then we have another Part 3, which have much more passing rates. So if you gradually move from Part 1 to Part 2 and 3, then the intensity keep on decreasing in terms of the passing percentage, and the MCQs also decrease. Part 2 and Part 3 is 100 MCQs in the exam, and Part 1 is only 125. So this is some brief intro about the exam. To enroll for IIA, if you are first time trying to enroll in the CIA exam, then you have to go to the website. There is a section called certification. You click there, then there is new to certification, and there you will find multiple certifications. So you can choose CIA, and then from there, if you keep on clicking, you will get to the right portal where you have to register, CCMS we call it, where you have to register. And once you register, then you can apply for I think you can apply for the IIA membership, because once you are a member, then the fee is discounted. Or you have the option, without being a member, you can simply enroll in the CIA exam, but then the exam fee will be a bit higher, which I'll be showing you in the next slide. So here we are with exam fee. For the CIA Part 2, if you are a member, then you have to pay $230. But if you're not a member, then you have to pay $345. And if you're a student, for example, if you're undergrad student or postgrad student, then they will ask for a few documents. Maybe they will ask for your university letter when you are about to finish your course. So after providing those supporting documents, then they might waive, not waive completely, but they can give you much discount on your CIA, which is $180. So I did CIA when I was a student, and I was lucky that I passed in the first attempt and with a discounted rate as well. CIA Part 2 passing percentage is 46%. It was 46% in 2021, and Part 1 was 43%, and Part 3 was somewhere 50 plus. So which apparently give you an idea that Part 1 is the toughest, then Part 2, and then Part 3. But looking at from a different angle, all those who pass Part 1, they have a very solid foundation on which you take all those concepts and you apply practically in Part 2. So which means it's relatively higher percentage, because people are coming with a good understanding of all the key concepts. So in that aspect, Part 2 is relatively tough, that despite people having very solid foundation, they still fail, because the passing percentage is again in 40s, it's not somewhere in 50s. So that is one thing. In terms of passing the score, so they have a relative marking, which is a bit more confusing, but just to make it easy, if you score so the scoring starts from 250 to 750, but if you score more than 600, then you are passed, which is approximately 80 MCQs. You need to have correct 80 MCQs out of 100. How technically that happened? Basically, what they do, as per my understanding, I might be wrong, but as per my understanding, not every MCQs is like 1 marks. There are certain MCQs which might be a little bit of a higher marks because of their complexity and difficulty, and some might be of 0.5, let's say. So that is one thing. And the other thing is they also look at how many people appear in that attempt, and they do a relative marking, and whoever score more than in that relative marking more than 600 in plus, they are passed. So they might be into 70s, they might be into 80s, depending on the attempt that session has and how complicated MCQs were. But not going into much more different technical details, just to make a rough, if you are able to make correct 80 MCQs, then there is a higher chance that you will pass. So the percentage is high, so you have to prepare, and you need to have a very good understanding of all the key concepts. So part 2 exam or the entire course syllabus, this is my way of giving you an idea, a mind map, that how or what are the key things that are being covered in part 2. So in part 2, according to my understanding, it talks about the operations, the two basic type of internal audit engagements, and the third thing is audit cycle. So in operations, they talk about some of the basic things about internal audit, about certain what are the administrative activities of internal audit, how we can manage stakeholder relationship, how we coordinate with other service provider. So those are related to operations of the internal audit. Budgeting is also part of it. Resource allocation. So these are the things which we discussed. This is one section. The other section is about we have there are two types of engagement that we do as an internal auditor, either assurance or consulting or advisory assignment. So they have elaborated in different units or chapters about the assurance engagement in terms of finance, compliance, operational IT, third party, QA, environmental. So it talks about more of departments, you can say, or what are the core assurance activities that internal audit carry out. So there is a whole unit about that, and there are units about consulting assignments that we internal auditor perform. For example, trainings in terms of quality assurances, due diligences, BPM reviews. So these are the things which we also cover. The third element is the audit cycle. So the audit cycle is when we, from the start till the end, all the key processes that we cover in the internal audit, that is also part of the CIA part 2. So if you are an auditor and you need to have a good understanding of all the key steps and processes and all the mandatory things or conditional things that you need to have a bare minimum understanding of, then this is an amazing series of videos. It will be just 7-8 videos which will also help you in performing your audit duties. So it covers from the risk-based internal audit plan to engagement plan, working papers, which is field work and execution, reporting, follow-up. So everything is part of it. So this is overall the whole syllabus of CIA part 2, and it's an amazing part because I personally like it because it's very practical, and these concepts you take it and you can apply in day-to-day your audit activities. So in the previous slide, the diagram or the chart which I've given you, that was my way of telling you that what it covers, but now I'm giving you the way how it is mentioned in the study text. So the GLIM study text, which I generally follow because I personally like it because it's very to the point and concise, but you can follow any of the study text. It's not a big deal because they will all cover these key topics. So according to the GLIM, all the units which you can consider as the chapters in the CIA part 1, they have defined how much coverage each chapter have from the exam perspectives, and these are just approximations. So there could be a possibility that instead of 5% they take maybe 6% from the first unit in terms of coverage of MCQs in the exam. But this is just to give you a good understanding that how the exam MCQs are allocated between different chapters. So we have 9 chapters. It talks about internal audit operations, assurance and consulting engagement. So these are the basic 2 types of engagement. Then we have financial, environmental, audits, which comes under assurance, and then consulting engagement. Then it talks about the audit cycle. So the annual internal audit plan, engagement plan, information gathering, sampling and statistical quality control, analysis, evaluation, documentation, and supervision. So this is all the field work and the main chunk of the audit work. And lastly is about the communicating results and monitoring progress, which is more of a report writing and follow-up on pending audit issues. So this is overall the CIA units chapters and the coverage I have given you in front of. And since it is 100 MCQs, so the percentage is exactly the same number of MCQs you can expect to appear from each unit. You cannot skip in anything in the CIA preparation, because every unit there are some MCQs which comes from each and every unit, and the passing percentage is high, so you have to have 100% understanding of all the key units and chapters. That is it. And so this is just the introduction of the CIA part 2. I'll be posting the CIA videos in each unit, and I hope my lectures or my way of explaining the concepts will help you both in the exam and your practical life. And if you benefited, and if you benefited from these videos, please do like, subscribe, and please do share with the people who you might be thinking that they can also benefit from being, maybe they might be an auditor, they just need to know understanding of the internal audit activities, or they might be appearing for the CIA exam. So it will help, and you will be a valuable part of that value chain which we are trying to create. And the purpose of sharing all this knowledge is because I as an auditor, I work in the field, and I felt that the internal audit resources are way too technical for people to understand. So I try to keep things easy and simple concepts and bring more practical experience into the discussion to make things easy for everyone, and so many people can benefit from. So I hope to see you in the next lecture, and till then, take care, and please do subscribe.